Hi, welcome to my exciting lesson on adaptations. Before we start our lesson on adaptations, the most important thing is we have our books ready with our equipment and we take today's date and title in our books. Okay, once you've done that, our first task is what is meant by the word adaptation when referring to a living thing in its habitat. Um, Obviously, this lesson relates, and it's important that you link your other lessons that you've gone through with the other teachers, such as habitats, food chains, and how to use quadrats. Okay, that is vital information to help support you for today's lesson. Okay, so what I want you to think about is what is adaptation, and we've got a picture here of a cheetah, and I want you to write down as many adaptations you think a cheetah has and the reasons why it has them. So an example could be you think a cheetah is light on its feet, it's quite slim in its body, its bone structure allows it to run faster, etc, etc, and give reasons why that may be. We're going to go into more detail throughout this lesson in the adaptations of a cheetah. Okay, so if you need time, as always, just pause me and then move on. Once you've done it, we just move on to the next slide. Okay, so this lesson's gonna, like with other previous lessons, take 2 lessons. So it's not about rushing through it and getting it done in 1 hour. It's taking your time in each task that we give you. Our progress targets are, you're used to this. We have the ideal format in terms of how we're going to set your targets. So today we're looking at identifying adaptations of predators or prey animals. We're going to describe how specific adaptations of predators or prey aid survival. We're going to explain how physical and behavioral adaptations can improve survival chances. We're going to apply gain knowledge to explain which food humans would find it easier to find in a survival situation. And then lastly, link human biology, chemistry and geography to explain ways in which humans could use behavioral adaptations or scientific knowledge to aid survival. Okay, so we'll refer back to them at the end of the lesson to set ourselves targets on what we need to improve on and what we're working at. As we've been going through this topic on ecosystems, we've been using the theme of shipwreck survivor. I mean, I'm sure I've spoken to some of you about a similar program called The Island, where Bear Grylls sends a number of contestants onto the island and they see how they survive. So you've decided the location, you've researched the area to ensure that there's enough food to support the contestants. Now the important thing, we need to train the contestants so they know how to survive. They know which types of foods to hunt and why. Our first task is to understand what adaptations means, and all our potential food that we're hunting are adapted to survive. You very rarely, in fact you never, find a animal which goes, right, yeah, come and hunt me, come and eat me, I'm easy. Never have that. We have all they actually make it hard for us to be able to hunt them and catch them and eat them, because they have different adaptations which allow them to survive and defend themselves. So we need to know what adaptation means, and adaptation is there. If you'd like to take that down, that'd be great. An adaptation is a body part or a behavior that allows an organism to survive in its habitat. Some adaptations are to avoid being eaten. Some help an organism find food. So that leads nicely onto the task that we're going to do now. Your task is you're going to identify 3 foods that you may have suggested from last lesson, or 3 foods you would definitely not hunt, and you've got to identify the adaptations that food that you are eating or you're not going to hunt as adapted to its habitat. So we've got here a cheetah. You're going to pick 3 living organisms, 3 foods that, like I've just said, that you're either going to hunt or not hunt, and identify the adaptations. And as you can see, we want you to use your own knowledge. We want you to use your own knowledge. We want you to use laptops, which you not laptops, the internet that you have available at home, to research these organisms and how they've adapted to the environment. And it says here, and the instructions are clear there, you need to make notes on what the adaptations are and how it helps them to survive. You can illustrate your work or use suitable pictures to make a poster. Compose your work like the example below. So again, that's going to take you quite a bit of time. So again, it's about, pausing me, getting on with it, spending a good amount of time on those three living organisms. So you've now completed your three animals that you would hunt or not hunt. Now we move on to task 2, and in task 2 there is a worksheet which is available in the HF communities folder that we've outlined to you for Key Stage 3 in Adaptations. You can download it and print that out, and that will help you. And if you're not able to do that, you can just do it in your books. So now we need to create a survival guide for the contestants for them to take to the island. We want it to become a bestseller, this survival guide, so we've got to make sure we're taking time on it. So what we want you to include in this guide is we wanted to identify foods that they can, should, or should not eat. We want you to explain the adaptations of foods they should eat to help contestants catch, kill, and find it. Okay, so if you're giving an example of a certain food, you've got to be wary of its sting. You've got to be wary of where it's located. It's located high up. You've got to be able to locate ways of which you can easily kill it humanely. And so then lastly, you've got to explain which organisms to avoid and why. So you may say avoid, a real prime example is a tiger. It's really high risk. Tiger is bigger than yourself. It's adapted to hunt and defend itself. It's got sharp claws, sharp teeth, etc. So again, similar to the last task, it's taking your time doing a survival guide. It can be done in a booklet, it can be done on a sheet, it can be illustrated using examples, diagrams, and make it eye-catching. For those people who want to extend themselves, and I'd like to think it's all of you, we understand that adaptations not just simply specialized body parts, they can also be behavioral adaptations, and that's what makes humans top of the food chain in terms of we can adapt behaviorally to what's around us. That's why we're able, whether it's a good thing or bad thing, be able to go and colonize all different parts of the world. Like I said, whether that be good or bad, we're able to adapt, come up with different things, different equipment, different behaviors to ensure that we can adapt to that environment. So the extension work again is adding to your survival guide, and it's outlined in the blueprint. And those questions, if you can add them into your survival guide, again, it's allowing you to not only make your survival guide a lot more thorough, a lot more in depth, but it's also allowing you to develop your knowledge and apply and link your knowledge to the work that we've done in this lesson and in previous lessons. Okay, so again, take your time doing that work. Again, if you need to pause me. Remember, this is happening over 2 lessons, so it's not about rushing it through and getting it done in 10 minutes, because if you do get it done in 10 minutes, it's not going to be a detailed or a good piece of work. So we're coming towards the end of our 2 hours of that work, and hopefully you will have been able to fulfill the progress targets here. So what I would like you to do very simply is identify where you're working, and then identify what you need to do to improve. So for example, if you need to say, today or for the last 2 lessons, I can now explain how physical and behavior adaptations can improve survival chances. Excellent. For me to improve, I've got to apply gain knowledge to explain which food humans would find it easier to find in a survival situation. So that was just an example there. Remember, if you say you're explain, you can also do describe and identify as well. Okay, so the one that you can do, the one below it, is your target. Okay, so our last task, the plenary, and I said at the start of the lesson, is I was talking about how there was a real life program called The Island, and it is similar to Shipwreck. And in one of the programs, Bear Grylls, the host, was criticised for the contestants killing a pig that was put on the island specifically because they didn't have enough food. So what I want you to think for this plenary is, do you think the tame pig should have been purposely put on the island? If you do so, say why. If you don't, say why and why not. Okay, that is the end of the lesson. The lesson should take 2 hours. Like I said, during each task you will have paused me, and you can obviously go back and forth to help you with different points. I enjoyed the lesson. I would have preferred obviously to be teaching you the lesson in school, but obviously the next best thing, you've got me here recording a narration for you to help you with this task. Okay, thank you. I hope you have a good lesson.